Welcome back to our channel. That's the right phrase, right? Okay, guys, today we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting expressions, being able to translate them from English into math. We're going to go all the way back to our module 1, where we're doing a lot of work in tables. So just get ready. Most of today's work is being tables. For those of you who have already been whining about the number of homework pages today, the reason is because there's a bunch of tables that take up a lot of room. There's actually not that much work. Okay, our opening exercise, we've got our older sister. She is exactly 2 years older than I am. Sharing her birthday is both fun and annoying. Every year on our birthday, we have a party, which is fun, but she always brags that she is 2 years older than I am, which is annoying. Shown below is a table of our ages starting when I was born. So we built the table to compare my age to my sister's age. What patterns do you guys see when you look at this table? What do you mean everything is plus 2? Okay, so my sister's age is always plus 2 to mine. Okay, any other patterns that you see looking at the table?
Do we put his sister or my sister?
Whichever. Nora? Good. So each year they both go up 1, right? Each year both go plus 1 or add 1. In the other patterns, yeah, let's do a great magic trick, Micah. You actually are quiet for the lesson.
Oh, for real? I got you. So.
I didn't say you had to stand up.
Oh, that's good.
You know we're recording, right?
I know. Nora, that's okay. That way when I write his parents tonight, I'll be able to tell them.
You told me I've been quiet for the whole.
There's what? Okay, good. So each time they're both even or they're both odd. Okay? Both even or both odd. Any others? I'll give you a hint. What if I look at my age compared to my sister's? What if I look at my age compared to my sister's? Nora? Good. Okay. My age is always minus 2 from my sister.
How old are you?
Guys, Cannon. Kaylee. I love that we're this far into the lesson and Kaylee is just now trying to figure out what page we're on.
I'm on the page.
Okay, on the day I turned 8, how old was my sister?
17. 49.
How do you know that, Aaron? Because you want to add in stuff like 17, 29, and blue for your answers to this question, which everyone else seemed to think was relatively easy. It's okay, Aaron, I'll write your parents too, and I can tell them you need to look at exactly 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the video to see how Aaron likes to act in class. So how did you get 17, 24, and blue as your answer? Okay, Jessica, how did you get 10? She's always 2 years older. So how do I know? My sister is always 2 years older. Okay, well, on the day I turned 16, how old was my sister? 18. How do you know? She is always 2 years older. Okay? Do we need to extend the table? Do I have to make the table bigger to get these numbers? No, why not? Sophie? Good. So no, I just need to understand the relationship. So once you understand the relationship, the table has actually done its job, and we don't actually need the table in order to fill in all these other numbers, do we? So that relationship that you're understanding here is what we're going to write into an expression. Okay? So we'll take this understanding and help us make sense of the numbers. Go ahead and turn the page. So here's another example we'll go through. So what if you don't know how old I am? Let's use a variable for my age. Let y equal my age in years. Can you develop an expression to show what it is? In other words, if I know my age in years is y, how would I talk about my sister's age? What's that, Cannon? Yeah. Why would you do 2 plus y?
Because if Y is his age and his sister is 2 years older, then you're adding 2 years.
So listen to what you just said. I am at y, my sister's 2 years older, but then you said 2 plus y.
Y. Y plus 2.
So why did you say 2 plus y? Would he have got the same answer if he does y plus 2 or 2 plus y? Yes. Commutative property of addition. It would have worked. But just that's why I wanted Cannon to talk about it first. Did you guys hear how Cannon talked about it? He said, I know that if I have my age, my sister's always 2 years older. That's literally the way you should be looking at this, guys. You should be able to verbalize it from English into math. And the way he said it was my age, and she adds 2. So I should write it that way mathematically as well. Does that make sense? Okay? So yes, the answer would have been the same. So we add that to the last row. We already did that. So we've completed that exercise. Let's do one more example. So now we've got the same table, my age and my sister's age. But now we're going to look at it a little bit differently. How old was I when my sister was 6 years old? It's right there. So what does it say? 4. Okay. How old was I when my sister was 15 years old? Wait, that's not right there. How did you get that? Andrew? Uh-huh. So he's saying I could have just added 10 to both columns. So he said I could have done, well, that's 13 and 15. Just added the same number to both sides, right? So how do you know? My sister, I'm always 2 years younger. So it's always minus 2 to get mine. Okay? So look at the example in table 2. If you know my sister's age, can you determine my age? Yes. If we use the variable g for my sister's age in years, what expression would describe my age in years? In other words, if I say, go back to my table and say my sister is G, how would I get my age? Making random noises like that, Micah, counts as talking. So we have another spot here at 10 minutes to write Micah's parents about. Luna? So if I'm at G here, and I go here, I do what? G minus 2. Does that make sense to everybody? Because of my sister, I'm always going to be 2 years younger than my sister. So if I know her age, I'm going to do mine. Now, I'll give you 1 minute. Calculate how old I was when my sister was 22, 23, and 24 years old. Do what? I just want you to write the answers. So, find my age when my sister's 22, 23, and 24. 1 minute, go. What was my age, Emily?
Okay, so when my sister was 22, I was 20.
Okay.
When my sister was 23, I was 21. When my sister was 24, I was 22.
Good job. Okay? Pretty easy, right, guys? Again, once you have examined the table and you understand what the relationship is, doing it is actually quite easy. Okay, now's your chance to show that you're understanding this. We have 3 exercises over the next 2 pages. We want you to do all 3 exercises on the next 2 pages. Everybody understand what's expected?
The bottom of that page and the back of it.
Bottom of that page and the full next side. Okay? We'll give you guys 10 minutes. Go. Okay, looking at this one now. We have Noah and Carter. They're collecting box tops for their school. They each bring in 1 box top per day starting on the first day of the school. However, Carter had a head start because his aunt sent him 15 box tops before school began. Noah's grandma saved 10 box tops, and Noah added those on his first day. So that's where we got our first day numbers, because each of them had additional box tops that they brought in that they had started with. Okay? Now, if we let D be the number of days since the new school year began, on day D of school, how many box tops will Noah have brought? In other words, if I say this is D, how would I figure out Noah's number? What would I do? Rosena? How did you get that?
They bring in 1 box top each day, and he added 10 more on the first day of school, so 10 plus the number of days is how many more.
Awesome. An excellent explanation as well. Did everybody understand what she was saying? Okay? That was a great job. Okay, on day D of school, how many box tops will Carter have brought to school? In other words, I've got D plus 10. What number would I put here? What expression? How'd you get that? Okay, so for Carter, it's D plus 15. So on day 10 of school, how many box tops will Noah have bought? 10 plus 10 would give me 20. On day 10 of school, how many box tops will Carter have brought? 10 plus 15 would be 25. 10 plus 15, 25. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Are you seeing those relationships? Okay, let's turn the page. Okay, each week, the primary school recycles 200 pounds of paper. Intermediate school recycles the same amount, but had another 300 pounds left over from summer school. The intermediate school custodian added this extra 300 pounds to the first recycle week. Number the weeks and record the amount of paper recycled by both schools. So what week should we start at? 1. If I start at week 1, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How much did the primary school recycle in the first week? Jasmine? 200. How much did the intermediate school recycle? Technically, they recycled 200, but how much did they have left over from the summer? So what was their total on the first week? 500. Does that make sense? Okay? So on week 2, what's the primary school have? 400. What does the intermediate school have?
1,000.
How much are they adding each week? 200. So that's still, they're only adding 200. They only had that extra 300 one time, guys. So on week 3, it's going to be 600 and 900. Then it'll be 800, 1,100. Then it'll be 1,000 and 1,300. Now, if this trend continues, what will be the total amount collected by each school at week 10? Nora? It actually is intermediate, okay? And intermediate you said was, what'd you say? Okay, does everybody agree with those numbers? Everybody got those numbers? None of you got 2,600 for the intermediate school? Okay, we'll talk about why after lunch. Okay, so that finished that one. Our next part, Kristen and Shelly share a birthday, but Shelly is 5 years older. Make a table showing their ages every year, beginning when Kristen was born. So what should be my first entry on my table? Jasmine? No. What should be my first entry?
26.
No. Luna? No.
05.
No. What do I need to understand what the table is about, guys?
Ages.
Whose ages?
Shelly and
I have to have a label to start. So the first thing I should have up here is a label. So since Shelly is older, I'm going to put her second. So Kristen's age and Shelly's age. Now, what's the first numerical entry? Andrew? 05. What would go next? 1 and 6. 2 and 7. 3 and 8. Okay? Now, if Kristen is 16 years old, how old is Shelly? Nora? 21. If Kristen is K years old, how old is Shelly? Rosanna? Good, because I'm adding 5 to go from Kristen's age to Shelly's age. If Shelly is S years old, how old is Kristen? Andrew?
-5.
What minus 5?
If Shelly is 6 years old,
S minus 5, which is a good one because this shows why we don't like to use S as a variable. It gets very hard, especially on your handwriting, to tell the difference between S's and 5s. So, not a variable I would normally use. Okay, here's your first set of homework. So for those of you that were worried that we had so many pages, here's why. You'll see the majority of this is just the graph, guys. This table shouldn't be hard to do. As you go through the table, here's the big piece. Realize there is a question below it, guys. How do we grade homework? Completion. So if you don't do the problems, did you complete your homework? Do you get credit for it?
No.
So if you missed part B, do you get credit? Okay, I don't want a bunch of whining on Thursday when we check this. Aaron. Okay, look here. Number 2 has parts B and C. We need to answer those. Make sure you answer all of the questions, guys. Number 3 also has a part A and a part B.
Thank you.
Number 4, there's no extra question there. Really important, number 6, this is not multiple choice. Do all 3 of those. This is not multiple choice. Do all 4 of those. Okay? Questions on your first set of homework. Okay, let's turn the page then. Go to page 90. Micah's a little lost.
I was being serious.
I'm fixing my paper this time.
It's okay. Go to page 90. We all have rough days. It's okay. Page 90. They are numbered at the bottom. A farmer's market. Guys, please stop the chatter. A farmer's market is selling bags of apples. In every bag, there are 3 apples. Complete the table. So if it's 1 bag, 3 apples, how many apples if there's 2 bags? 6. How many if there are 3 bags? 9. How many if there's 4 bags? So what am I doing every time to get the number of apples?
Adding 3.
No. 2 plus 3 is not 6. Santa said it. Multiplying by 3. So when I write that, I have to write that 3b. Why? If I did this, b3, and I were to model this, how many groups of 3 would I be adding up? I have no idea. If I model this, how many groups of b am I adding up? 3. So can I do this? Yes. Can I do this? No. So we don't write it like that. Make sense? Now, what if the market had 25 bags of apples to sell? How many apples is that in all? If I had 25 bags, how many apples? What do I do to the 25? Multiply by 3. 25 times 3 is 75 apples. Okay? If a truck arrived that had some number A more apples on it, then how many bags would the clerks use to bag up the apples? How many bags? What do I do to the number of bags, to the number of apples, to figure out how many bags I end up with? I'm full American. Wesley? Good. A divided by 3 or A over 3, either one. So if a truck arrived that had 600 apples on it, how many bags would I need to bag up all the apples? How did you get that, Alyssa? Ayana? That was Ayana that got it, not Alyssa. Good. So I would need 200 bags. How is part D different than part B? What did we do differently? JJ? Micah? So what do we call that? What's the math term for it? Ayana? Inverse operations. Inverse operations, basically operations that undo each other. They are the opposites. So the inverse operation of division would be, the inverse of division would be multiplication. The inverse of subtraction would be addition. Okay? Turn the page. Here's a chance for you guys again to do some exercises. I'm going to get this one started, though, because a lot of people really have trouble with this. In New York State, there's a 5-cent deposit on all carbonated beverages, cans and bottles. when you return it, you get the 5 cents back. But what did they want the column done in? Dollars. How do I write 5 cents in dollars? JJ? So how do I write it? Well done. 5/100ths. Because our U.S. dollars is based on 100 cents in a dollar. So 5 cents is 5/100ths of a dollar. So from there, you should be able to move forward okay. So these are exercises. We're going to let you guys work on these together. We will give you 7 minutes to finish up the page, to give us time to go over them and do the next. If you finish this page, go on to the next page. You have 3 exercises. Go ahead and go. Guys, I got to go through this quick.
Guys, we've had to tell y'all entirely too many times today to be quiet. Enough.
I would agree with that. So I'm going to go through this very quickly because I want to get as much of it we can before I have to explain the homework. So 2 would have been 10 cents, 3, 15 cents, 4, 20 cents, 10, 50 cents. 50 of them, $2.50. 100 of them would have been $5. C, whatever I'm doing, I'm multiplying by 5/100ths times C. Okay? So if we let C represent the number of cans, what is the expression? That's going to be the 5 cents times C. Use the expression to find out how much money Brett would receive if he returned 222. So all I'm going to do is take the 222, multiply by 5/100ths. Quick reminder, when I'm multiplying by decimals, all I do is I count my decimal places. Now I'm just multiplying 222 by 5. Now I'll put 2 decimal places in my answer. So I have 10, 11, 11. 2 decimal places in. Brett earned $11.10. Okay? Gavin needs to earn $4.50 for returning cans. How many cans does he need to do? So you have a few different options in there. I could actually use the numbers on the table and figure out how to add it up to $4.50, or I can just take my $4.50, divide it by 5 cents. Remember, I cannot have a decimal in my divisor, so I move it over twice, meaning I have to move it over twice on the inside as well to keep the numbers equal. Now I'm just dividing 450 by 5. That's going to go, won't go into 4, goes into 45 9 times. Gives me a 0. Don't forget to bring down zeros and make sure you account for them in your answer. There is a huge difference between 9 cans and 90 cans, is there not? Yes. So Gavin needs 90 cans. How are the operations related? They are inverse operations. They undo each other. However I go from one side to the other, I do the inverse to get back to where I started. Questions on that page? Okay, let's turn the page real quick. Okay, now each ride is $2.50, meaning for 1, I have $2.50. 2, I have $5. 3, I have $7.50. 4, I have $10. 5, I have $12.50. 10, now I'm going times 10. 30, so I'm going to triple that, $75. So if I know the number R, how am I going to figure out how much it costs? Nora? Good. 250 times R, whatever that may be. So there's our expression. We did part B. Now let's use the expression to find out how much money 60 rides would cost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 250. My R is now 60. I have 2 decimal places. Now I'm just multiplying 250 times 60. So 0, 0, 30, 0, 3, 12, 15. And I add my 2 decimal places back in. So it costs $150. Okay? If the commuter spends $175 on Subway, How many trips did the commuter take? So we have two ways. They didn't tell me I had to use an expression this time. So I could actually just look at my table. How would I get to 175? Well, if I double 75, that's 150, right? So a double 30 would be 60. I add 25 to the 150, I get 175. So 60 plus 10 would be 70 rides. I could also divide it. But since we have 3 minutes left, I'm not going to do that at the moment. That's a 0 just for the record, 70 rides. How are they differ? They are inverse operations. That is how they differ. Any questions on that page? Okay, since we only have 2 left, I'm not going to do the next page, but we'll go to the homework. Here is the second set of homework. You have pages 94 and 95. There is a little bit more work on this than there is on the other set, actually, but they shouldn't be hard. I will say, pay attention. These are not multiple choice. Answer all 3. Okay? Same thing on part 2. You have to answer all 3 of them. Number 3, don't forget your labels. The first column should be your labels. Then you'll be able to pull it in the rest. There are 4 questions after you have built the table, and that I can actually help you build the table as well. The last page of your homework, again, don't forget your labels. The first column should be labels. You have 4 questions on this table, and then your last one, you have 2 questions. Again, not multiple choice, answer both. Any questions on your homework or what we've just done today? Anybody? Hey, please make sure you're bringing your modules to class. We will be using your modules a lot more moving forward, okay?